matter plus information. And what is information is the key. What is information? Information is an idea. It's a concept. It's something that's creative. It's not material. You see, you are comprised of a bunch of atoms, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, and all kinds of atoms. You're actually made from dust, right? But what makes you? Is it the dust? Is it the carbon? Is it the oxygen? By the way, all of your atoms that are present today, in 10 years, probably not one of those atoms will still be in you. You're being replenished and replaced, and you're breathing in and you're exhaling, and you're eating and you're excreting, and your cells are growing and changing. So actually all the atoms are gone. So what makes you you? What makes you you is the information, it's the idea. It's exactly how they're all put together and formed. And by the way, information is not dependent on the matter. If, for example, I send you a text message, I type it in, I see it on the screen. So it's maybe in an LCD display. Then it goes over the airwaves. What form is it in? It's in electromagnetic radiation, it's in microwave radiation. And then it goes into a tower, and the tower converts it to something and sends it through a cable. And maybe it comes through an optic cable, so now it's in photons, completely different. Goes into your computer, goes into your memory bank, now it's in magnetic bubble memory maybe or something, and then it appears on your screen. Well, it's back in the characters. At every single stage, it's completely different. Materials, completely different form, nothing to do with each other. But what is important is the information that is riding on the matter. The message that I sent you. Say I send you a message, SOS. Does anybody know what that means? It's save our souls, I'm in trouble. So if my plane's going down, I'm saying SOS, SOS. Now I can say that with letters, or I can say it in Morse code. Anybody know what it is in Morse code? It's dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, dot, dot. So if you hear a dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, 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 you know somebody's in trouble, okay? Right? You guys got that, right? So, but that dot, 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 dash, dash, dash could be in sound waves. It could be in light. I could have a flashlight. It could be any number of ways. I could put a bunch of rocks in. There's many different ways I could transmit the same message, the same information. But it's the information that's not the matter. It's different. It rides on the matter. So what Genesis is telling us actually is that God is the source of the information, and he puts the information into space and time. So he takes, and the first thing he makes is light. By the way, should I do the laws of thermodynamics maybe? Yeah, let's do the laws of thermodynamics. You can find them there. The first law of thermodynamics, I know it's a long answer to your question, but this is good stuff.
It's got a lot of information.
The first law of thermodynamics says that, anybody know what it is? I know it's like probably
We're talking physics now. Anyone
We're
take
talking physics. Anyone take physics?
Physics. All right, there we go.
Okay, great.
Physics, high level.
Physics, high level. The first law of thermodynamics, and thermodynamics just means, you know what a thermos is? It's something that holds heat. Dynamics is like dynamic, moving around. So it really means just the movement of heat. Somebody formulated it that way. But what it says is that energy is always conserved. It's never destroyed or never created. So you can convert one form of energy, electronics, into heat or light, and you convert light into heat, or you can convert light into electronic energy, or you can take potential energy like gasoline, light a match to it, and convert the potential energy into a fire. You can even take the potential energy of an atom, blow it up, and convert it into kinetic energy of a huge explosion. So matter is actually just energy organized into a mathematical formula, kind of a structure. And if you blow it up, you get a whole bunch of energy, it disperses, and now it's not ordered, it's disordered. But the first law of thermodynamics says that energy is conserved. It never is created or destroyed. So the amount of energy in the whole universe today is exactly the same as it was whenever the universe started. So that's interesting. No, you can't find it yet, but that's interesting because we read in Genesis 1 that the first thing God created is what? Light, energy. So God had to create the energy to begin with. Now, if you ask anybody who doesn't believe in God or doesn't believe in creation, well, where did the energy come from? They have no explanation. Where did it come from? Because we know that there's a certain amount of energy in the universe and it's constant, but where did it come from in the beginning? The Bible tells us he created energy first. And then what he did was he organized it and he made matter and he made planets. He made things from the energy, which in order to make an atom from a bunch of energy, you have to take that energy and you have to organize it and order it into a compact structure. And that is exactly what the Bible is telling us long before any physics or anybody knew anything. That is exactly what God did. He took an idea in his mind. I'm going to organize it and make it look like this in these orbitals and structures, and then I'm going to build these things up from that. And he put the information in to the energy to make the matter. And then he took the matter and he did exactly this. He adds information to matter and organizes it to make you. So you were first an idea in the mind of the living God. Think about that. Think about what kind of value you have, because you're not a mistake. God thought about you before. By the way, the Bible says that God thought about you before the universe was created. He had the idea of you in his mind. What was your name again?
Matt.
Matt. He had the idea of Matt. Hey, well, Matt, that's a cool. I like that. I'm gonna make a bat, and that's exactly what he did. And he realized the ideas he had in his mind into the material world, and there was a Matt, right? Of course, it was Adam at the beginning, but he has every single one of you, he knew beforehand, and he had the idea. So you're his idea. That makes you incredibly valuable. And this is what Genesis says. So we're going to see some other things that Genesis says about life. Let's go in. Oh yeah. Okay. The second law of thermodynamics. She's reminding me. So the second law of thermodynamics says that everything that is ordered runs down. It all becomes disordered. It all tends toward disorder. That's actually what happens in the entire universe, and that's what drives it. So, for example, if I have clear water, and I take her coffee, and I pour it in, what will happen?
It'll turn brown.
It'll all be light brown, right? It won't be like, oh, look, there's real dark, there's darker coffee there, and there's more clear water there. Will that ever happen?
No.
No. That's the second law of thermodynamics. Always something that's ordered, like you have coffee over here separated from water over there. You put them together, and now you have only one all mixed medium. It's all disordered. It's all homogeneous. So the whole universe is actually running down. If you ask a physicist, what is going to happen to the universe eventually, it will reach what's called heat death, where everything will be evened out. It'll all be the same. It'll all be one big uniform pea soup. There won't be a Perry over here and a Matt back there, and it'll all eventually, with infinite time, it'll run down. So this is what the second law says. Everything tends, with time, to run down. And the third law, I won't go into in detail, but the third law basically says that the most organized and ordered, the most complex state happens at the lowest energy level. So if I take like a crystal and I cool it down to minus 273 degrees Celsius, almost to absolute zero, that's when it will be the most ordered and structured. When you heat it up, it becomes more disordered and bumping around, and it's less ordered. So the most ordered state is the least energetic. So it goes against everything that really, the evolution, I call it really kind of a story, says. Because the evolution story says that with lots of time, you get more order. Second law of thermodynamics says, with lots of time, you destroy order. And anybody knows this if they bought a car and it gets older, it starts rusting out. If you have a hard drive on your computer, it's older and older, and you got static electricity and different stuff. Guess what? It gets it loses some information, right? So everybody knows that things tend to run down with time. And if you had an infinite amount of time, everything would have run down. So that's the opposite of what evolution story says, that order just naturally increases. It doesn't naturally decreases. God put the order in the beginning, and it's maintaining the order, but it's it's running down generally. That's what we see. And by the way, the first law, that energy is the same, that's exactly what God says. And the third law says that more energy, it's less order. So instead of saying you got lots of energy you put in, you get order out. No, if you put more energy in, actually you get less order out. What you need to get order is information. So I can take some iron ore, and I can take the idea in my head and impose it on that and make it into a hammer. But that doesn't naturally happen. It takes information and know how to do that. Okay, is that clear? Anybody have any questions on that? That is very fundamental, what information is. And information, by the way, the guys who define what information is, mathematicians and who study this subject, try to figure out what really is information. And this is important to our day and age because